I have always thought of myself as kind of a classic New Yorker. Politically, I'm a liberal and a feminist. And then as far as religious belief is concerned, I've always been a skeptic. But at the same time, I'm envious of people who have faith, because I think that whether you're a Christian or a Hindu or an atheist, it doesn't really matter. Everybody wakes up in the morning and wants to believe that their life has some kind of meaning. So I saw this opportunity to just jump into the witchcraft community, the pagan community in this country, as a chance to ask those kinds of big questions for myself. You know, what is it that these people may know that I don't know? There's several hundred thousand people in this country, maybe as many as 1 million, who find these answers to these big questions through the practice of magic. At the same time, as a journalist, I saw this as a really unique, kind of irresistible opportunity to tell a story about an entirely new chapter in the history of faith in this country. In this country, Halloween is dominated by, you know, plastic Spider-Man masks and blow pops and trick-or-treating, kids toilet papering trees in the suburbs. But what I discovered is that for several hundreds of thousands of Americans, Halloween is actually Samhain. It's the time of year when they believe the boundary between this world and the next is the thinnest. And so it's a time to try to reconnect with family and loved ones who you've lost, maybe even ancestors from centuries ago. So at a time when kids are knocking door to door and asking for candy, there are nearly 1 million people all around this country taking part in very serious, very intense rituals, trying to connect with the dead. And I took part myself in a number of Samhain rituals, including one with a coven of about 24 witches in a castle in New Hampshire. And that's something that I describe at length in the book. In reading Witches of America, I think, first of all, the average American needs to understand that the picture that's created by Hollywood of witchcraft is really, really complicated. On the one hand, I was surprised to find that a lot of the imagery is actually pretty realistic. Witches do stand around in circles in exotic robes and chant, sometimes in ancient languages, to the moon. They wave around daggers and they use wands and chalices. You know, all of that is actually very real. And it's an important part of rituals and ceremonies. The aspect of Hollywood's depiction of witchcraft that is really unfair is this idea that because someone calls herself or himself a witch, it means that they're out to harm others. And actually, this is a serious religious community that has a strong ethical code. They're very open-minded and tolerant, and they think that everyone should follow their own path. But the idea is that should never involve harming others. It's also a community that really believes that nature is sacred, so it's all about respecting your environment and respecting your neighbors. And so that's, at the very least, an important distinction I hope readers will be able to make.